like if I need to take more of the load for the team and you have to do that, then you have to like step up, and all 4 of us are certainly willing to do that. I'm willing to cough up blood on the competition floor for the other 3, and I think all 3 of them are willing to do that for me.
I think the top 2 were both athletic performance and attitude. I wanted a team that was going to be really fun to compete with, that had confidence, that was willing to lay it all out there, not just as an individual, but also for someone else.
CrossFit Francos Misfits. Welcome to the Jedburgh podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're live from CrossFit Games. It's day 2 officially, but day 0 for you guys. We just had the opening ceremonies. The flyover went by, and now everyone's got to get their head right. So we're going to get you out of here in a quick amount of time because we know you have so much to do over the next, 18 hours or so before you hit it. It's going to be some grueling next few days. We had the chance to sit down with Shaylin back in, what was it, January now, right? Oh my God, January, down in Miami at Wodapalooza. One of the great conversations that we've had on the Jedburgh podcast in the 150 episodes or so that we've done, where we talk so much about her performance, her career in the Army, transitioning into her current job, but then how do you take all that and become a professional athlete and do it at a high level? We were really fortunate in that discussion where she announced on our show that she would be competing as a team in the CrossFit Games. And then I think Jessie and I looked at each other and we're like, okay, well, there's the follow-up right there. And so that's kind of where we're at, right? Now we've come full circle. We're here at the Games. The teams come together. So talk for a second, since we last sat down and told your story and you made that announcement, how did the team come together and how'd you end up with Logan, Alexis, and Brandon?
So we all met through CrossFit. Whether it was at a gym or at a competition, but Alexis is kind of our fearless leader. She brought us all together. She formed the team. I met her competing against her at a few different competitions, but we just kind of jived together. Our personalities go well. And then she's been best friends with Brandon for 6 years or so. They met at a CrossFit gym. And then Brandon's competed against Logan at the Games before. So a lot of competing against each other, some competing with each other for those 2, and now we're one big happy family.
Where did the name Francos Misfits come from?
CrossFit Francos is the gym that Brandon goes to. The owner has been super supportive of us all season, so we did the Open there and the quarterfinals there. We all lived in different states when we started the season. We all traveled to New Orleans and did that at Francos. And then Misfits, we're both Misfit athletes. Brandon used to be a Misfit athlete. They do our programming, and our coaches from Misfit Athletics.
So you put the team together. As you looked and you thought about, what do I want on my team, right? One of the things we talk about so much on the podcast is the characteristics that it takes to build elite performance, whether that's as an individual or as a team. 9 are used by special operations, and we've used them for decades, since actually the Jedburghs of World War II is how we recruit and assess, develop talent, is we use these series of 9. What do you want in your team?
I have no idea what 9 you use, but I can tell you what I use.
I'm going to throw them out later to you.
So I think the top 2 were both athletic performance and attitude. I wanted a team that was going to be really fun to compete with, that had confidence, that was willing to lay it all out there, not just as an individual, but also for someone else. To be able to look around and say, I don't want to push, but look at these 3 people around me. I care so much about them. But more than that, I wanted to have fun. So, and winning's fun too. So let's not just their attitude, but I look around. These people have the biggest hearts. We care about each other. We want each other to have a good time, to feel like they're cared for, but also feel like someone else is going to die on the floor for them, and that they're capable of, they have enough athletic talent to die on the floor for you.
So, Brandon, 3 times in the Games.
Yes, sir.
Is this 4 or 3? This
will be number 4.
This
First
is
time
number
as a
4.
team. Yeah.
All right, so why join a team this time versus being an individual?
So I competed in 2018 for the first time as an individual. while I was in grad school, doing research, studying for boards, applying to residencies.
So it's not doing too much during the day.
And
you got extra time on your hands.
It burnt me out, yeah. Just like having all those things on my plate burnt me out. And so in 2019, I took a year off. And towards the end of 2019, I was like, I'm done. I'm done competing. I'll move on. I did it the one time. That was the goal. And I'm good with like calling it quits. Kept training, of course. And then in October or September, Alexis texted me in I think September of 2019, was like, hey, let's do a team. And I was like, okay, like I'm kind of like settled into residency. I think I can make that work. And did the Open, finished like 13th in the world in the Open, and then we qualified as a team in Argentina, and then COVID happened, and so teams didn't happen, but because of my placing in the Open, I was able to compete in the individual side of competition on the online games. Then I competed in 21 again, qualified, and after that moved home to work with my father. I'm a medical physicist, so which is why I was in school for so long. But whenever I moved home, it was kind of, again, I was like, competing would be too much added onto my plate. It's time for me to move on and focus on work. And then again, Alexis texted me. He's like, hey, let's go team. And I was like, why not? Why not one more time? She's like, it's my last year. I was like, hey, if it's the last year, like, we can make it happen. So Alexis has pulled me out of retirement twice now.
It wasn't hard. Good work. There wasn't a lot of convincing that had to take place.
How is the training different for a team, and how are the events different?
You don't get to just think about yourself. Like, competing as an individual is a very prideful and selfish sport, but whenever you add in 3 other individuals that you want to die for, it becomes like, if I need to take more of the load for the team and you have to do that, then you have to like step up, and all 4 of us are certainly willing to do that. The training isn't that much different, I don't think, for any of us. I think we all train as if we were individual athletes, but I think the mindset's much different in that you have to be responsible for your teammates and not just for yourself. It's kind of like a family. So like, if you're partying on the weekends, it doesn't just affect you, it affects the other 3 and your performance. And so but on the flip side of that, I said individual was like very prideful. Team is very exciting because you get to share all of that excitement with everybody else, and it's not all of individual performance. You get so excited for your teammates' performance whenever they step up and do something incredible, and it's not just like self-centered, like I'm proud of how I did. I'm so proud and excited for how the other 3 did. So it's a complete different mindset shift.
You do CrossFit for 2 or 3 months, you might not see the numbers change on the scale, you might not feel like, but if you can show people with data, like, you're actually improving, you just hit a PR, you're getting better.
Gym owners were able to just basically click a button and get all the resources and tools that we were using for our gyms at a fraction of what it would cost them.
Like, if gyms provide a better product on the floor by having better coaches, their business is going to be healthier. They're going to have better retention and have all those other features, and coaching is a skill that needs to be developed. We are, I would argue, the most product-focused company in our space, and the way we create value is by we build products. In 2012, we told gyms to put TVs on their walls, and we got laughed at. And go in any CrossFit gym in the world now, and you're probably going to see a TV on the wall. But we're just constantly pushing the envelope with innovation.
Logan, talk about the training, right? You guys are all in different locations, and I mean, it's in some ways, right, easier to train when you're all co-located, because you can look at the other person and say, all right, we're going to do this today. We're all going to the mat together. But now you've got to do that separated by time and space.
Sure.
How did you guys come up with a training plan that was going to keep you and develop you as a cohesive unit, but do that while you were separated?
I think with us having the individual background, all 4 of us do, it was a little easier to be separated and be able to kind of attack those things. The times that we did were able to get together, it was a lot of exposure to what you were good at and what you're not good at. So it's pretty easy, I feel like, for us, maybe just a personality trait to take back home and absolutely hammer them so you're not letting other people down. So that was kind of my take. The first couple times we met, it was the worm. The worm as a team would just beat me in the dirt, and it still does. And so, just trying to figure out different, ways to kind of have progressions to the worm by yourself and other things like that. And but yeah, that was it kind of for me, speaking for myself.
So the worm is the giant sandbag that you all move together,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Are there a lot of events that require teamwork together that would be hard to train on your own?
Alexis?
Almost all of them require some sort of teamwork. I mean, some of them are an individual event. Like semifinals test 3, we each did something on the floor by ourselves, and then it was a combination of all of our times. There was really very little strategy, very little teamwork. But other than that, most of them have some sort of teamwork aspect, whether it's moving an implement together or a synchro movement where you have to all do it at the exact same time, or even just like a strategy aspect of like, this person's going to be able to push harder here, I can push harder there, and how do we split the reps up?
I'm going to be biased here for a second, okay, because I can be, because I'm sitting here in front of the Army truck. The Army recently brought back Be All You Can Be. When we talk about Be All You Can Be, we're talking about how do we look at ourselves and say, I want to be the best version of myself, and that might be different for every person. And that's important when we talk about individuals. But what I'll also tell you is that the Army, especially in special operations, we're built on shared suffering. CrossFit is built on shared suffering. The community aspect that comes from just doing something really shitty next to somebody else, and then being able to look at them and saying, that sucked. And I may not have even known you a few minutes ago, but tomorrow I'll take that bullet for you all day long. Right? Talk about the evolution of that for you guys. Logan, you mentioned that you start integrating some of these hard workouts, but talk about that evolution and how you have come together as a cohesive unit. So from day one, when you got the call from Alexis and said, I want to do this, to being here today, ready to go into the gauntlet.
I think we kind of talked about it. Like, I think each of us is willing to die for the team. And I think early on, we established that desire and that willingness for each other. It wasn't just a team, it was a family. We made that distinction early on. We might argue or bicker with each other, but like when it comes to like go time and competing, we are willing to take a metaphorical bullet for each other. I'm willing to cough up blood on the competition floor for the other 3, and I think all 3 of them are willing to do that for me. And so you kind of put your own pain aside. It's easy to want to ease off the pedal when it's just hurting for yourself, but when you take into like the responsibility of the rest and your responsibility to them, I think you're just willing to hurt that much more.
I was going to say, actually, I think the hardest part, which might come as a surprise to some, is we actually each want to take more load from the team. Like, we desire to do more. Almost the hardest part is when you feel like someone might be better at something than you, is like, okay, actually I need to step back and let them do more, because that's going to be, in the end, the better thing for the team. And we're like, no, but I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can do it for the team. So that's actually the hardest thing, is stepping back and saying, I think our whole team will be better if you do it, and I just sit back.
Yeah.
Have you seen your individual numbers go up since you've started training with that team mentality?
So I'm the least fit on the team, and that's okay. But Alexis moved to Raleigh a couple months ago, so we could train together, and I get my ass kicked every day, and it has definitely forced me to get more fit.
That's
for
so
sure.
cool.
For sure.
Let's talk about that for a second, because you went there. So I'm going to bring it up because I think it's important. So you guys might know, but Shaylin took a lot of heat on social media after our interview with her. Okay, and normally I try to stay somewhere in the middle on these things. It's one of the few times where we had a guest on where I intervened in the conversation and was like, everyone just shut the fuck up, right? Like, I've had enough, because you're not going to go toe to toe with her. I don't care who you think you are, all you haters out there who don't think that, women can make it in the infantry, in the army, as in law enforcement, okay, in the games. It doesn't matter, right? Jessie and I talk about this a lot because she competes against males all the time and beats the shit out of them too, right? But when you think about this concept of the integrated team, right? How do you guys think about that? How do you approach that? And how has that brought you together so that you have each other?
Yeah, there were definitely some workouts at semifinals where like females were the limiter, and the guys are always willing to step up and take that burden, and tomorrow they're going to have to in one of those events. They're going to have to do more work than us because it just makes sense. But like Alexis said, the hardest part is us letting them. Like, we want to pull our own weight, but sometimes for the team, it's best if we let them do what they're best at. And I think that it's a humility thing, maybe. We are fit. We know we're fit. We know we're capable. But we also believe in them, and we know that they're going to do it faster. And that's okay. It doesn't make us less fit. It doesn't take anything away from us. It adds to the team. But same thing with the Army. Like, you have one guy who's going to be better at carrying the extra ammo because he's a bigger frame and he can carry that weight. That doesn't mean the little guy's less fit. It means he's your runner for your emergency plan as your contingency.
Yeah.
It's just a different role, and if everyone had the same role, it would never work. So we all have a different role.
Well, we talk about that in building teams, right? One of the most important parts of building teams is identifying strengths and weaknesses, right? And then putting people in positions. The definition of a leader, right? The definition of a leader, there's a lot of them, but one of them is, how do you empower your subordinates and those around you to contribute to the mission? And part of that is identifying what they're good at and what they're not at, and then bringing the resources and putting them in positions to be successful. And that's what we want to do, and that's what you guys are looking at doing. Well, since you brought it up, well, let's put you on the spot for a minute, okay? I'm going to ask you who's the best at a couple of different things.
Okay.
All right. All right. Who's the best gymnast?
Ooh. They're all really good, not me. maybe Logan, but they're both really good too.
I think Logan's the best
she's
gymnast.
She's really good too, though.
I mean, Alexis is very good.
Not me.
Okay. All right. Who's the best Olympic lift on the Olympic lifts?
Shaylin.
Maybe me.
Okay. All right. Who's got the best aerobic cardiovascular capability?
Fran.
All right. So you guys have the 5K, right?
Yeah.
You looking forward to the 5K?
Yes, but we have to hold a rope and run
It's
it
all
as a team.
tethered, so I am looking forward to it.
So, like, it's going to be easy for him. Yeah. He's going to go for a jog. He's going to pull me.
All right. Beauty of CrossFit, right, is that you never do the same thing twice, okay? And we're going to talk later this week with Director of Sport Operations, Heather Lawrence, who's responsible for a lot of what you're going to endure and conquer over the next couple of days, right? And that, in my conversations with her to this point, we've talked about, almost from a production side, that they go through all this effort to put these things out and then they never do it again, right? And so there's a pretty cool aspect to that. What are you most looking forward to over the next couple of days?
I'm kind of looking forward to the obstacles, just like the obstacle of every day, whatever that is. 'Cause I don't think the beauty's in the finish line. I think the beauty's kind of in the journey, overcoming the tasks, the events, the working through things together, the pain. I think all of that is what kind of comprises the artwork of the entire weekend.
For me, 3/4 of the fun part's already over. I enjoy the whole process. I enjoyed getting together with them to train every weekend. I enjoyed feeling like I was pushing myself when I was by myself for them. That's half the beauty of it. It's awesome to come out here and show everyone what we've worked on. But I think if you're only focused on the end goal and that's your only thing that you want, that's never gonna get you as far as if you enjoy the entire process of getting there.
How did you come to that level of realization? Is it something you always inherently knew or had to teach yourself?
I started CrossFit because I wanted to be in the gym every day, not having any goal of being at the CrossFit Games. The only reason I beat Shaylin in the gym sometimes is because I train just as hard as I compete. That's just who I am. I love training. So, like, yeah, I think I've always had that in me. It's both a blessing and a curse, right?
Well, CrossFit great Josh Bridges, who I know you guys probably know. I interviewed him a couple of years ago, and he said that you've got to love the process. And that in that process, you don't train till you get it right. You train till you can't get it wrong. And if you think about that for just a second, there's a huge difference between the moment when you do that perfect rep and you're like, I nailed it, and the people who walk away from the bar and move on to something else, and the person that looks at that bar and goes, now I have to do 1,000 more just like that to be able to compete at the level that I wanted. Because where you guys are and where Jessie is, where so many want to be, and when my time is in special operations, it's not about getting from the 99% to the top 2%. It's about closing the gap of that last 2% to the top of the podium. And that is the mindset that's going to get you there. And when you execute that with precision day in and day out, you love the process, and you get out there and the results speak for themselves. I got one more question for you guys. Test question, okay? I've never done it in a group before, so we got to see how it works.
Oh, this is going to be the same question.
Wait,
Yeah,
can I ask you a test question? What's my last name?
Nathlete. Johnson.
I saw it on his sheet.
Well, I have this. I don't know why I have that on there.
No.
Well, that's what your Instagram
That's
says.
my Instagram handle.
Yeah, okay.
I just wondered if you like. There are people who think it's my last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my last name.
All right. Well, okay, fine. Now that you showed me
I just
up.
like math. No, I was just curious. I mean, you're gonna test me, so like if I'm wrong, I had to make you wrong first.
I like it. I'm not even going to edit that out.
But-
I'm going to leave that in there. See, that's I have the ultimate authority. Right?
Yeah.
I can edit whatever,
Yeah.
but I'm going to leave it in there.
All right. Now I just look like a dick.
That's all right. I'm used to it. All right, ready for the test question?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked you this last time. All right. So the Jedburghs of World War II, they had to do 3 things every day to be successful. They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, and they had to be able to communicate. If they did those 3 things with the utmost precision, then they could focus their attention on more challenging tasks that came their way, primarily conducting sabotage and subversion operations against the German army to prevent them from reaching the beaches of Normandy. What are the 3 things that you as a team do every day to set the conditions for success? Oh, so quiet now, Miss Johnson.
I'll do one.
Dr. Johnson.
Strike 2.
Oh, man. We got to end this quick.
I think that one of them would be that we all love what we're doing. So when you love what you're doing, it's no longer a chore. Like some people view going to the gym and working out as a chore, but for us, we all look forward to it. It's one of our favorite parts of the day.
I think a few things that we have to do to be able to perform well as a team is, one, we have to work on our own skills. It's like shooting, right? Shooting is an individual skill. So we all work on our own skills, our own lifting, our own gymnastics, our own conditioning. At the same time, we have to know how to communicate well, whether it's on the floor, as friends, as teammates, throughout the year. We have to be able to communicate. And I think knowing how to put each of us in like the right part of the machine to make the best machine, to make it move the best, is another one of those components. Understanding each other and knowing where to fit us into that, which cog and where to put it to make us the most well-functioning unit.
Like that.
You like that?
I like that.
All right, here's what I got. Love what you're doing, okay? Communicate, and put people in the right roles. Yeah?
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with Jessie and I. We have
thank you,
very
guys.
much looked forward to this for a long time, all right, since January, since Shaylin told us about it. We've watched you through Instagram. Okay, I'll get the handles right. All right, I can take it. But you're lucky you have to compete in the next couple of days, because normally we would challenge you to a workout or something right now. And I don't care if I lose. I'll still give it everything I have.
No offense, but I put my money on her.
Oh, I'll put my money on her. I'll still do it.
I know you will. I know.
It's going to be a great couple of days. All right, I know you guys put in the work. The tagline of the podcast, how you prepare today determines success tomorrow. Okay, we've seen it over the last several months as you've put in the work. Now it's time to execute, and you can execute free. I know you will. We wish you the best. Good luck out there. We'll be watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. American Jedburghs went out to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Director to the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Jessie Graff, Talent War Group, and our CrossFit Games sponsors, U.S. Army, Wodify, GoRuck, and Hero Coffee on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, or X. Send your comments and inquiries to fran@jedburghpodcast.com. As a former member of Special Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast donates a percentage of all proceeds to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.